Most people walk through life blind. They look at faces, but they do not see intentions. They hear words, but they miss the truth. You are likely one of them. You believe what you are told. You assume that a smile means friendship and that silence means agreement. And because of this, you are constantly at a disadvantage. You are walking through a minefield of hidden agendas, suppressed emotions, and silent manipulations, completely unaware of the signals screaming right in front of your eyes. Imagine how many times you have been deceived. Think of the promotion that went to someone else, the relationship that crumbled without warning, or the negotiation where you left money on the table. You blamed bad luck. You blamed timing. But the reality is far harsher. You simply weren't paying attention. You were reacting to the mask while the real person was hiding in plain sight. This ends today. Welcome to the study of human behavior. This is not a collection of parlor tricks or psychic guesswork. This is the science of survival. It is the art of stripping away the social veneer to reveal the raw, unfiltered machinery of the human mind. Every human being on this planet is broadcasting a continuous stream of data. Their posture tells you their confidence level. Their micro-expressions reveal their hidden fears. The cadence of their voice betrays their deceit. They cannot help it. The human brain is wired to leak the truth, even when the mouth is trained to lie. The problem is not that the information is missing. The problem is that you do not know how to decode it. You have been trained to be polite, to look away, to accept the surface-level narrative. We are going to break that training. Over the next 10 chapters, we will dismantle the way you perceive social interaction. You are going to stop being a passive participant in your own life and become an active analyst of the world around you. We will begin by turning the lens inward, stripping away the biases that cloud your judgment. You cannot read others if your own lens is cracked. From there, we will move to the anatomy of observation. You will learn to spot the baseline, the control group of human behavior, and identify the deviations that signal danger, desire, or deception. You will learn the geometry of the face, the physics of the voice, and the architecture of personality. By the time you finish this audiobook, you will walk into a room and see things others miss. You will know who holds the power in a meeting before a word is spoken. You will sense a partner's hesitation before they even realize they are pulling away. You will be able to distinguish between a nervous tick and a calculated lie. This transformation requires courage. When you learn to really see people, stripped of their masks, it can be jarring. You will see their insecurities, their envy, and their fragility. But you will also see their potential, their unspoken needs, and their genuine truths. This knowledge is power. It is the ultimate leverage in business, in love, and in life. You have spent enough time in the dark. It is time to turn on the lights. Before we begin the dissection of human nature, a quick request. If you are finding value in this content and want to continue your journey toward mastery, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, clear your mind. Forget what you think you know about people. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Invisible Script. What if I told you that the person you think you are talking to does not exist? When you look at your spouse, your boss, or a stranger on the street, you are not seeing them as they truly are. You are seeing a projection. You are seeing a character that your brain has written into a story based on your past experiences, your insecurities, and your desires. You are not reading them. You are reading yourself reflected back at you. This is the first and most difficult hurdle in analyzing human behavior. Before you can read anyone else, you must destroy the invisible script that is running in your own mind. Most people believe they are objective observers of reality. They believe that when they walk into a meeting, they are simply recording facts. But neuroscience tells us a different story. The human brain is not a camera. It is a prediction machine. It is designed to save energy, processing every microexpression, every shift in tone, and every subtle hand gesture takes an immense amount of cognitive fuel. So your brain cheats. It takes shortcuts. It looks at a person, categorizes them based on a few superficial traits, and then fills in the blanks with assumptions. If a man is well-dressed and speaks deeply, your brain labels him as competent and trustworthy. You stop looking for signs of incompetence because your script has already cast him as the hero. If a woman is quiet and avoids eye contact, your brain might label her as snobbish or uninterested, completely missing the tremors in her hands that signal crippling social anxiety. This is the invisible script. It is the filter that blinds you. And the terrifying truth is that this script is often wrong. To become a master reader of people, you must stop being a writer of fiction and start being a collector of data. You must suspend your judgment. You have to shut down the part of your brain that screams, "I know what this means," and replace it with a cold, clinical curiosity that asks, "What am I actually seeing?" This chapter is about the foundation of all analysis, the baseline. You cannot spot a lie if you do not know what the truth looks like. You cannot spot anxiety if you do not know what calm looks like for that specific individual. This is where 99% of people fail. They look for universal signs of deception or emotion. They think, "He scratched his nose, he must be lying," or "She crossed her arms, she must be closed off." This is amateur hour. Human behavior is not a dictionary where one gesture equals one definition. It is a comparative science. A scratch of the nose might be a sign of deception in one person and a sign of a dry itch in another. Crossed arms might mean defensiveness in a negotiation, or it might simply mean the room is cold. To read someone effectively, you must first establish their baseline. The concept of the baseline. The baseline is a person's normal operating mode. It is how they behave when they are under no threat, hiding no secrets, and feeling no extreme emotion. It is their resting state. Every human being has a unique signature of existence. Think of the people closest to you. You know their baselines intuitively. You know that your best friend talks fast and uses their hands when they are excited. That is their baseline. If they suddenly sat on their hands and spoke slowly, you would know, instantly, that something was wrong. You wouldn't need a degree in psychology to see it. You would see the deviation. But with strangers, colleagues, or clients, we do not have that history. We have to build it, and we have to do it quickly. When you first meet someone, the clock starts ticking. For the first few minutes of any interaction, your only job is to establish the baseline. You are not looking for lies. You are not trying to figure out if they like you. You are simply calibrating your instruments. What should you look for? First, look at their energy level. Are they naturally high-strung, bouncing from topic to topic? Or are they sedate, measuring their words carefully? If a high-energy person suddenly goes quiet, that is a red flag. If a low-energy person suddenly becomes animated and loud, that is also a red flag. But you cannot know it's a flag until you know the norm. Second, listen to their vocal variance. Pay attention to the pitch, the speed, and the volume. Some people naturally speak in a monotone drone. For them, a flat voice is not a sign of boredom. It is just how they talk. Others speak with a melodic up-and-down rhythm. If the melodic speaker suddenly goes flat, the alarm bells should ring. Third, observe their connective gestures. How much eye contact do they usually make? How much do they smile socially? Some people are naturally intense and hold eye contact for long periods. Others are scanners. They look around the room while they think. If a scanner suddenly locks eyes with you and doesn't blink, they aren't being friendly. They are likely forcing a behavior to convince you of something. Establishing a baseline requires you to ask control questions. These are questions where the person has no reason to lie and no emotional attachment to the answer. How was the traffic getting here? Is this your first time in the city? What department do you work in? While they answer these mundane questions, watch them. Watch how they breathe. Watch where their eyes go. Listen to the rhythm of their speech. This is their truth state. Take a mental snapshot of it. Burn it into your memory, because 10 minutes later, when you ask the hard questions, did you take the money? Or, are you happy in this marriage? You are going to compare their reaction against that snapshot. The danger of projection. Now, let us go back to the invisible script. The biggest enemy of establishing a clean baseline is your own emotional state. We project our feelings onto others. If you are a nervous person, you will tend to read nervousness in others, even when it isn't there. If you are an aggressive person, you will perceive innocent questions as attacks. This is called the mirror bias. Imagine you are in a high-stakes job interview. You are terrified. Your heart is racing. Your palms are sweating. The interviewer leans back in his chair and crosses his legs. If you are trapped in your own script, your brain screams, "He's bored. He hates me. I'm failing." But if you are a cold, detached analyst, you might see something different. You might notice that he just finished a heavy lunch. You might notice the room is warm. You might see that his breathing has slowed, not because he is bored, but because he is comfortable. Because you are projecting your own fear, you misread his comfort as rejection. And because you thought you were being rejected, you started acting desperate. And because you acted desperate, he actually did lose interest. You created the reality you feared. This is why self-regulation is the prerequisite to reading people. You must be a blank slate. You must be the calmest person in the room. When your water is still, it reflects the world perfectly. When your water is turbulent, it distorts everything. Context is king. The final pillar of this foundational chapter is context. A gesture has no meaning without context. If you see a man standing on a street corner, trembling, with his arms wrapped tight around his chest and his head down, what do you see? If it is 20 degrees below zero, you see a man who is cold. If it is 75 degrees and sunny, you see a man who is likely in drug withdrawal or extreme psychological distress. If he's standing outside a hospital waiting room, you see a man who just received devastating news. The physical behavior, trembling, crossed arms, head down, is identical in all three scenarios, but the meaning changes 100% based on the context. This seems obvious when laid out like this, but in the heat of the moment, we forget it constantly. We see a partner become quiet at dinner and assume they are angry at us. We forget the context. They just worked a 12-hour shift and are physically exhausted. We see a client shifting in their seat and assume they are lying about the budget. We forget the context. The chairs in the conference room are incredibly uncomfortable. You must become a master of environmental awareness. Before you judge the behavior, judge the room. Is it hot? Is it loud? Is there a power dynamic at play? Is the person sitting with their back to the door, which makes many people subconsciously nervous? You cannot read the text if you ignore the background. The protocol of observation. So how do we turn this philosophy into a practical skill you can use today? You need to practice the protocol of observation. For the next 24 hours, I want you to try and experiment. I want you to stop being a participant in your interactions and start being a researcher. When you talk to someone, imagine there is a pane of glass between you and them. You are safe behind the glass. Your emotions cannot get through. You are simply watching a specimen. Step 1. Identify the context. Look around. What is the environment telling you? Is it stressful, relaxed, formal, chaotic? Step 2. Establish the baseline. Spend the first few minutes just gathering data. How do they sit? How do they sound? Do not judge, just observe. Step 3. Look for the shift. Wait for the moment the baseline breaks. Wait for the pause that is too long. Wait for the sudden change in posture. When you see the shift, do not jump to a conclusion. Just ask yourself, why? Why did he stop using his hands when I mentioned the deadline? Why did her voice go up an octave when I asked about her weekend? Do not answer the question yet. Just ask it. The road ahead. We are just beginning to scratch the surface. The invisible script you have lived by is deep-rooted. It is made of years of habits and assumptions. Breaking it will feel unnatural. You will feel cold. You might feel like you are detaching from your humanity, but you are not. You are actually getting closer to it. When you stop projecting your own story onto people, you give them the space to show you who they really are. You stop interacting with the cartoon characters in your head and start interacting with the complex, breathing, contradictory human beings in front of you. In the coming chapters, we're going to fill this framework with weapons-grade tools. We will learn to dissect the face muscle by muscle. We will learn to hear the hidden frequencies of deception in the human voice. We will learn to categorize personalities so quickly it will feel like magic. But none of that matters if you are still looking through a dirty lens. Clean the lens. Silence your ego. Find the baseline. The world is speaking to you. It is time you started listening. Chapter 2. The mirror effect. The sharpest knife cannot cut if the hand holding it is shaking. In the previous chapter, we discussed the invisible script, the assumptions you make about other people. Now we must look at something far more uncomfortable. We must look at the source of those assumptions. We must look at you. There is a principle in quantum physics called the observer effect. It states that the mere act of observing a phenomenon changes the phenomenon. You cannot measure a system without interacting with it. The same is true for human behavior. You are not watching a movie. You are not a ghost floating in the corner of the room. You are an active participant in every interaction you analyze. Your energy, your mood, your insecurities, and your suppressed anger are all radiating outward, hitting the person across from you and altering their behavior. If you walk into a negotiation with a hidden fear of failure, you will project a subtle, nervous aggression. The person across from you will sense that aggression, and their defense mechanisms will kick in. They will cross their arms. They will shorten their answers. You will then look at them and think, aha, they are being deceptive. They are closing off. You are wrong. They're not being deceptive. They're reacting to you. You created the very behavior you are now analyzing. You are reading your own reflection and calling it insight. This is the mirror effect, and until you learn to control it, you will never truly be able to read anyone. You will only ever read your own impact on them. The biology of contagion. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the hardware of the human brain. We are wired for connection, not isolation. Deep in your brain, there is a network of cells called mirror neurons. When you see someone smile, your mirror neurons fire the same pattern as if you were smiling. When you see someone cringe in pain, your brain simulates that pain. This is the biological basis of empathy. It is how we bond as a species. It allows us to feel what others feel. But for an analyst, this mechanism is a double-edged sword. In a social setting, emotions are contagious. They are like a virus. Have you ever walked into a room where two people were just arguing? Even if they are silent when you enter, the air feels heavy. You feel a tightness in your chest. You feel on edge. You have caught their anger. If you are not aware of this, you will mistake that caught emotion for your own intuition. You will think, I have a bad feeling about this person, when in reality, you are simply absorbing their stress. You become a sponge, and a sponge cannot analyze water because it is too busy drowning in it. To read people effectively, you must stop being a sponge and start being a mirror. A mirror reflects the image perfectly, but it does not become the image. It stays cold. It stays hard. It stays separate. Distinguishing intuition from anxiety. One of the most common questions I get is, how do I know if I am trusting my gut or just being paranoid? This is the million-dollar question. We are told to trust our instincts, but for most people, their instincts are broken. They are traumatized. If you have been betrayed in the past, your instinct is wired to see betrayal everywhere. If you have low self-esteem, your instinct tells you that everyone is judging you. That is not intuition. That is anxiety wearing a disguise. You need to learn to tell them apart. And the difference lies in the texture of the feeling. Anxiety is loud. It is chaotic. It rushes. It screams, "What if? What if they are lying? What if they hate me?" It spins scenarios and tells stories. It is localized in the head and the chest, a racing heart, shallow breath, a spinning mind. Anxiety argues with you. It tries to convince you of the danger. Intuition is different. Intuition is quiet. It is immediate. It does not tell a story. It delivers a fact. It doesn't say, "Oh my God, what if he has a gun?" It simply says, "Danger." It is a heavy, dropped feeling in the stomach. It is a sudden clarity. Intuition does not argue. It just is. When you are trying to read someone and you get a feeling, pause interrogation. Ask yourself, is this feeling rushing and loud? Am I trying to connect dots that aren't there? That is anxiety. Discard it. Or is the feeling calm, heavy, and persistent? Is it a quiet alarm bell that won't turn off even when you try to rationalize it away? That is intuition. Listen to it. The calibration of the instrument. So, how do you stop projecting? How do you stop infecting the room with your own noise? You must calibrate yourself before you enter the arena. Think of a thermometer. If a thermometer is sitting in a cup of hot tea and you immediately plunge it into a glass of ice water, it won't give you an accurate reading instantly. It needs to neutralize first. Before you walk into a high-stakes meeting, before you go on that date, before you confront your child, you must neutralize your emotional state. You need to reach 0 point. 0 point is a state of active neutrality. It is not apathy. You are not zoning out. You are hyper-aware, but you are emotionally detached. Check your physical state. Are your shoulders up by your ears? Drop them. Is your jaw clenched? Loosen it. Are you breathing from your upper chest? Shift it to your belly. These physical tension points are signal jammers. They tell your brain you are under threat, which narrows your focus and makes you miss the subtle cues. Check your emotional residue. Are you still angry about the traffic? Are you still annoyed by the email you read 5 minutes ago? If you carry that residue into the interaction, you will misread the other person. You will see their hesitation as aggression because you are aggressive. You must wipe the slate clean. The gray rock method. There is a technique used by psychologists and hostage negotiators called the gray rock method, often used to deal with narcissists, but it applies perfectly to analysis. When you are trying to read a volatile or emotional person, imagine yourself as a gray rock. You are boring. You are unmovable. You absorb nothing. You reflect nothing. If the person screams, you do not scream back. If they cry, you do not weep with them. You observe the crying. You analyze the screaming. You watch the storm, but you do not step out into the rain. This feels counterintuitive. We are taught that empathy means joining someone in their emotion. But in the world of analysis, cold empathy is superior. Cold empathy is the ability to understand exactly what someone is feeling and why without feeling it yourself. When you maintain this separation, you create a vacuum, and this is the secret weapon of the mirror effect. Human beings hate vacuums. If you are calm, still, and listening intently, the other person will subconsciously feel the need to fill that silence. They will talk more. They will explain more. They will reveal more. By doing less, you get more data. By reacting, you stop the flow of information. If you get angry, they stop talking. If you get defensive, they change the subject. But if you are a mirror, calm, reflective, silent, they will show you everything. The power of affective presence. Finally, you must understand your own affective presence. This is a psychological term for how you tend to make other people feel. Some people have a calming presence. When they enter a room, heart rates drop. Some people have an anxious presence. They make everyone around them jittery. Some people have a dominant presence. They make others feel small or submissive. You probably do not know what your affective presence is because you have never been on the receiving end of yourself. But you need to find out. Ask a trusted friend, how do people usually feel after talking to me? Do I energize them? Do I drain them? Do I intimidate them? If you know that you naturally intimidate people, perhaps you are tall, have a deep voice, and a serious face, you must factor that into your analysis. When you see someone looking nervous around you, it might not be because they are lying. It might just be because you are scary. If you know you have a chaotic, high-energy presence, you must factor that in. When people seem overwhelmed or withdrawn, it's not because they are hiding something, it's because you are exhausting them. You have to subtract your variable from the equation. If you see fear in their eyes, ask, is this fear of the topic or fear of me? If you see excitement, ask, is this genuine passion or are they just mirroring my energy? The ultimate separation. Mastering the mirror effect is the step that separates the amateur from the professional. The amateur thinks reading people is about staring at them until they crack. The professional knows that reading people is about clearing the space so the truth can surface. You are the instrument. Keep the instrument clean. Keep it steady. Do not let your past traumas distort your present vision. Do not let your anxiety drown out your intuition. And do not let the emotions of others hijack your own nervous system. Stand still, watch, listen. When the water of your mind is perfectly still, the reflection of the world becomes perfectly clear. Chapter 3. The body never lies. Words are cheap. Words are easy. You can rehearse a speech. You can script a lie. You can look someone in the eye and tell them you love them while your heart is completely empty. The human voice is the most sophisticated tool for deception on the planet. But the body? The body is a terrible liar. The body is a traitor. While your mouth is weaving a complex narrative about why you were late or why the project failed, your hands are wringing together, your feet are pointing toward the door, your pupils are constricting. You are broadcasting your true state of mind on a frequency you cannot control. Most people focus 90% of their attention on the face and the words. This is a mistake. The face is the part of the body we are taught to control from childhood. Put on a happy face. Don't look bored. We are socialized to lie with our faces. If you want to read the truth, you have to look at the parts of the body that people forget to censor. You have to look at the legs, the hands, the torso, and the neck. You have to learn the language of the limbic system. The limbic brain versus the neocortex. To understand why body language is accurate, you need to understand the architecture of your brain. You have the neocortex. This is the thinking brain. It's the part of you that does math, speaks languages, and creates complex lies. It is slow, calculated, and capable of deceit. Then you have the limbic system. This is the mammalian brain. It is responsible for survival. It controls your emotions, your fight-or-flight response, and your immediate reactions to danger. The limbic system is incapable of lying. It reacts instantaneously to the environment. When you hear a loud bang, you flinch. You don't think about flinching. Your limbic system forces you to do it to protect your vital organs. In social situations, this system is still running the show. When someone asks you a difficult question, your limbic system reacts instantly with a flash of fear or anxiety. A split second later, Your neocortex steps in to cover it up with a smooth answer. But in that split second, the body has already leaked the truth. Your job is to catch that leak, the binary code, comfort versus discomfort. Body language can be incredibly complex with thousands of subtle cues, but we're going to simplify it. At a survival level, the human body only has two real modes, comfort and discomfort. Every gesture you see is a signal of one of these two states. When we are in comfort, we expand, we take up space, we expose our vital organs, the chest and stomach. We lean in. Our muscles are loose. We defy gravity. Our eyebrows go up, our chins go up, our hand gestures move upward. When we are in discomfort, we contract. We make ourselves small to avoid being seen by a predator. We cover our vital organs, we cross our arms, we lean away. We succumb to gravity. The shoulders slump, the chin tucks, the corners of the mouth turn down. This is the binary code of human behavior. Before you try to analyze specific gestures, just ask yourself, is this person expanding, comfort, or contracting, discomfort? The torso, the ventral front. Let's start with the most vulnerable part of the body, the ventral front. This is the front of your torso, protecting your heart, lungs, and digestive system. In the wild, an injury here is fatal. Therefore, we only expose our ventral front to people we trust. This is why we hug people we love. We are pressing our most vulnerable areas together as a sign of mutual trust. Watch the torso in a conversation. It is a compass. We point our torso toward what we like and away from what we dislike. This is called ventral fronting or ventral denial. Imagine you are standing in a group of 3 people. You're talking, and they are both looking at you. But look at their chests. Are they angled toward you? Or are their heads turned to you while their chests are angled away? If their feet and torso are turned away, they are in ventral denial. They are socially obligated to listen to you, but their brain wants to leave. They are giving you the shoulder. This is often a sign that you have lost their interest or that they have somewhere else to be. Conversely, if someone is sitting across from you and suddenly crosses their arms, don't jump to the conclusion that they are closed off. Look closer. Are the arms crossed loosely, with the chest still visible? That might just be a comfortable resting position. Or are the arms wrapped tight, effectively hugging themselves, blocking the chest entirely? That is a shield. That is discomfort. They are protecting their vitals because they feel attacked by your words. The feet, the most honest part of the body. If you want to know the truth, stop looking at the face and start looking at the feet. The feet are the furthest point from the brain. We have the least conscious control over them. Evolutionarily, the feet are responsible for survival. They are the primary mechanism for the flight response. When the brain senses danger or a desire to leave, the signal goes to the feet first. Have you ever been talking to someone who seems engaged, nodding and smiling, but one of their feet is pointing directly at the exit? Believe the foot. That is the starter's block position. Their brain has already signaled, prepare to run. They are physically readying themselves to launch out of the conversation. They might be polite enough to stay, but their intention is gone. We also see happy feet. When people are genuinely excited or getting what they want, their feet often wiggle or bounce. It is a release of pent-up energy. You see this in poker players who have a winning hand. Their face is stone cold, but their feet are dancing under the table. Conversely, notice the locking of the ankles. When a person is interrogated or asked a hard question, they will often cross their ankles and pull them back under the chair. This is the freeze response. They are locking themselves down to limit movement, a subconscious attempt to become invisible and withhold information. Pacifying behaviors, the art of self-soothing. When the limbic system senses stress, it demands a solution. It releases cortisol and adrenaline. To counter this, the brain forces the body to perform pacifying behaviors. These are repetitive touches that stimulate nerve endings to release calming oxytocin. You do this all the time without realizing it. When you're nervous, you might rub the back of your neck. You might stroke your thigh. You might wring your hands. You are literally petting yourself to calm down. Recognizing pacifying behaviors is the key to spotting hidden stress. The neck. The neck is a superhighway of nerves. It is a primary target for soothing. Men often touch the back of their neck or adjust their tie, covering the suprasternal notch at the base of the throat. Women often touch the suprasternal notch directly or play with a necklace that rests there. If you ask a question and the person's hand shoots to their neck, you have hit a nerve. You have caused a spike in anxiety. The face. We touch our faces constantly when under stress. Rubbing the forehead, trying to wipe away the stress. Touching the lips, a subconscious desire to stop speaking or be silenced. Scratching the nose, which can actually itch due to capillary dilation during stress. The Pinocchio effect is real, though not universal. The legs. Leg cleansing is common. This is where a person places their hands on their thighs and slides them toward their knees, as if wiping off sweat. It is a major sign of anxiety and a desire to dry the palms in preparation for fight or flight. When you see a pacifying behavior, stop. Do not attack. Ask yourself, what did I just say that caused this reaction? You have found a hot spot. The person is uncomfortable. Whether that discomfort comes from a lie, a shame, or a fear is what you must determine next. But the stress itself is undeniable. The rule of clusters, why amateurs fail. Now, a critical warning. This is where most people get it wrong. You cannot read a single gesture in isolation. If you see someone scratch their nose, it does not mean they are lying. It might mean they have an itch. If you see someone cross their arms, it does not mean they are angry. They might be cold. If you see someone look away, it doesn't mean they are deceptive. They might be distracted. You must look for clusters. A cluster is a group of two or more behaviors that happen at the same time or in close succession, all pointing to the same emotion. One gesture is like a single word. It could mean anything out of context. A cluster is a sentence. It tells a clear story. Let's look at an example. You ask an employee if they finished the report. Scenario A. They scratch their nose, but they maintain eye contact, their torso is facing you, and their voice is steady. Analysis? Just an itch. Ignore it. Scenario B. You ask the question, they pause, they look down, they scratch their neck, they cross their ankles under the chair, then they say, yes, it's done. Analysis? That is a cluster. You have a pause, cognitive load, looking down, severing contact, neck scratch, pacifying anxiety, an ankle lock, freezing. The body is screaming threat. The word yes is likely a lie. Always look for the 3 C's. Context. Does the environment explain the behavior? For example, is the room cold? Congruence. Do the words match the body? For example, saying, I'm happy while frowning. Clusters. Are there multiple signals pointing in the same direction? Gravity and confidence. Finally, let's talk about the relationship between gravity and confidence. Emotions have weight. Sadness, shame, and defeat are heavy. They pull the body down. The shoulders slump, the head bows, the face sags. Confidence, happiness, and pride are light. They defy gravity. When someone is genuinely confident, they occupy vertical space. They stand tall. But look for the subtle gravity-defying behaviors. The eyebrow flash. A quick raising of the eyebrows is a universal sign of recognition and welcome. It defies gravity. If you greet someone and they give you a verbal hello, but their eyebrows stay flat, the welcome is not genuine. The steepling of hands. This is a high confidence gesture where the fingertips touch like a church steeple. It shows the person is sure of what they are saying. You will often see bosses, lawyers, or experts doing this. Thumbs up. Not the gesture, but the position. When people put their hands in their pockets but leave their thumbs sticking out, that is high confidence. It's a display of status. Conversely, hiding the thumbs inside the pockets while fingers hang out is a sign of low confidence or insecurity. The silent movie exercise. Here is your homework for this chapter. Watch a video of a press conference, an interview, or a negotiation, but turn the sound off. Watch it like a silent movie. Without the distraction of words, watch the dance. Watch the lean. Watch the blink rate increase. Watch the hands flutter to the neck. Watch the feet shift. Try to guess the emotion before you turn the sound back on. You will be amazed at how much louder the body is when you stop listening to the lies of the tongue. The body is the anchor of reality. The mind can drift into fantasy, but the body is always stuck in the truth of the moment. If the words say, "I am fine," but the knuckles are white and the feet are locked, trust the knuckles. Trust the feet. The body never lies. It just waits for you to learn how to listen. Chapter 4. The maps on their faces. There are 43 muscles in the human face. With these 43 muscles, a person can create over 10,000 distinct expressions. Most of these expressions are noise. They are the polite nods, the social smiles, and the listening face we wear to get through the day. We are taught from the moment we can speak to use our faces as masks. We smile when we are angry. We look interested when we are bored. We look calm when we are terrified. Because of this, most people think the face is the worst place to look for the truth. They think it is too easily manipulated. They are wrong. The face is not a static mask, it is a dynamic map. It is connected directly to the cranial nerves, which are wired into the emotional centers of the brain. While a person can control their face most of the time, they cannot control it all of the time. There is a lag. There is a split-second gap between the moment an emotion hits the brain and the moment the mask slides into place. In that gap, the truth flashes like lightning. This chapter is about learning to see the lightning. It is about micro-expressions, facial involuntary movements that last less than a half second. These are the cracks in the armor. If you learn to spot them, you will never be lied to again. The anatomy of a lie. To understand the face, you have to understand the war happening beneath the skin. When you ask a husband, "Where were you last night?" and he is lying, two things happen simultaneously. First, his limbic system fires a distress signal, fear. His eyebrows want to rise, his lips want to stretch back. Second, his neocortex fires a control signal, act normal. It orders the face to relax and look casual. But the limbic system is faster. For 1/25th of a second, the fear shows. The eyebrows twitch up. The lip corners pull back. Then instantly, the neocortex overrides it, and the face settles into a calm, practiced expression. Most people miss that 1/25th of a second. They are too busy looking at the result, the calm face. But you are going to learn to look for the flash. You are going to stop watching the movie and start watching the individual frames. The eyes, the aperture of truth. Let's begin with the eyes. Poets call them the windows to the soul. Scientists call them the only part of the brain that is visible from the outside. The eyes are the most information-dense part of the human face. You can fake a smile, you can fake a frown, but you cannot fake the pupils. Pupillometry is the study of pupil size. Your pupils do not just react to light, they react to cognitive load and emotional arousal. When you see something you desire, a lover, a pile of cash, a delicious meal, your pupils dilate. They expand to take in more of the target. When you are threatened or disgusted, they constrict. They sharpen the focus to fight the threat. Watch the pupils during a negotiation. If you name your price and the other person's pupils suddenly expand, stop talking. Do not lower your price. They want it. Their brain has just signaled acquire. If their pupils pinprick, you have offended them or triggered a defensive state. Beyond the pupils, look for eye blocking. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism. When we see something we do not like, our brain tries to cut the visual feed. In children, this is obvious. They cover their eyes with their hands. In adults, it is subtle. It manifests as a long blink, a rub of the eyelid, a hand covering the eyes while thinking. If you present an idea to your boss and they rub their eyes while saying, "Let me think about it," they are subconsciously trying to erase what they just saw. They don't like it. The verbal "let me think" is a stall tactic. The eye block is the verdict. The myth of eye contact. We need to destroy a dangerous myth right now. Liars don't make eye contact. This is false. In fact, it is the opposite. Normal, honest conversation involves a natural rhythm of eye contact and looking away. We look away to think, to recall memory, to process data. A skilled liar knows you are looking for shifty eyes, so they overcompensate. They lock eyes with you. They stare. They want to verify that you are buying their lie. This is the predator stare. It feels intense. It feels unnatural. If someone is holding eye contact for too long without blinking or looking away, they are not being honest. They are performing. They're trying to dominate your perception. The smile. The Duchenne marker. The smile is the most common lie in the human repertoire. We smile to be polite, to hide embarrassment, to diffuse tension, and to deceive. But there is a flaw in the design of the fake smile. A genuine smile is involuntary. It is triggered by the limbic system. It engages two main muscle groups, the zygomaticus major, which pulls the corners of the mouth up, and the orbicularis oculi, which encircled the eye. When you are truly happy, the cheeks lift and the skin around the eyes crinkles. You get crow's feet. The eyebrows might dip slightly. This is called the Duchenne smile. A fake smile, a Pan Am smile, is voluntary. It is controlled by the motor cortex. The motor cortex can easily control the mouth, but it has a very hard time engaging the muscles around the eyes. So you get a smile where the mouth is curved, but the eyes are dead. The forehead is smooth, the cheeks haven't lifted. Cover the person's mouth with your hand, mentally. Look only at the eyes. Are the eyes smiling? If the mouth is grinning, but the eyes are flat and alert, you are looking at a mask. You are looking at a predator who is trying to appear harmless. The 7 universal emotions. Paul Ekman, the pioneer of micro-expression research, identified 7 emotions that look the same on every human face, regardless of culture, race, or geography. A tribesman in Papua New Guinea and a CEO in Wall Street show these emotions exactly the same way. You need to memorize 3 of them right now because they are the most dangerous. Contempt. This is the only asymmetrical expression. It is a slight raising of one corner of the mouth, just one side. Contempt is a deadly signal. It is not anger. It is superior. It says, "I am better than you." It says, "You are beneath me." If you see a flash of contempt on your spouse's face during an argument, the relationship is in critical danger. John Gottman, a famous relationship researcher, can predict divorce with 90% accuracy just by counting the number of times a couple shows contempt. If you see it in a business partner, watch your back. They do not respect you, and they will justify screwing you over because they believe you deserve it. Disgust. This is the bad smell face. The nose wrinkles upward, and the upper lip lifts. We evolved this to avoid eating rotten food. But socially, we use it to react to rotten ideas or people. If you make a suggestion and you see a quick nose wrinkle before they nod and say, "Interesting," they are lying. They are repulsed by the idea. Disgust is a very strong emotion. It is hard to negotiate with disgust. You cannot persuade someone who is disgusted by you. You have to change the dynamic entirely. Anger. True anger is focused. The eyebrows pull down and together. The eyelids tighten. The lips press together until they disappear or become a thin line. Pay attention to the lips. When we are about to speak, our lips part. When we are holding back aggression, our lips disappear. This is the lip press. It means the person is literally biting their tongue. They are holding back a verbal attack. If you see the lip press, do not push further. The dam is about to break. The geometry of surprise versus fear. These two are often confused, but the difference is vital. Surprise is the briefest emotion. It lasts less than a second. The eyebrows go up, curved, the eyes widen, and the jaw drops. Crucially, once the brain processes what is happening, surprise must convert into something else: fear, happiness, or relief. If someone stays surprised for 2 or 3 seconds, they are faking it. Fear looks similar, but with a key difference in the eyebrows. In surprise, the eyebrows are curved and high. In fear, they are flat and pulled together. Fear is a horizontal emotion. The mouth stretches back horizontally. Surprise is a vertical emotion. The jaw drops down. If you accuse someone of stealing and they give you a long, drawn-out, surprised face with curved eyebrows, they are acting. Real surprise would be a microflash followed instantly by anger, "How dare you?" or fear, "I'm caught." The look of deception, cognitive load. Finally, let's talk about the face of a liar who is thinking hard. Lying is exhausting. It requires more brain power than telling the truth. You have to invent a story, check it for loopholes, monitor the listener's reaction, and suppress your own anxiety. This creates cognitive load. When the brain is overloaded, the face often goes blank. The blink rate slows down to almost zero. The stare. The facial muscles go slack. Then, once the lie is successfully delivered, you see the release. The blink rate skyrockets. Blink flutter. The person looks away. They might exhale sharply. A slight smile of duping delight might cross their face, a quick smirk that says, "I got away with it." Watch for this rhythm. Question asked, freeze or stare, calculation phase, lie delivered, blink flutter, look away, release phase. That rhythm is the heartbeat of a lie. Training your vision. You cannot learn this overnight. You have to train your retinas. Start with the TV. Watch the news. Watch a politician apologizing for a scandal. Watch a CEO explaining a stock crash. Ignore the words. Look at the corners of the mouth. Is one side hitching up? Contempt. Look at the forehead. Is it smooth while the mouth is sad? Fake sadness. Look at the eyes. Are they blocking? Are they staring? In your daily life, start looking for the incongruence. Incongruence is when the face does not match the words. "I am so happy for you," she says, but her eyebrows pull together, distress, and her smile does not reach her eyes. "I am not angry," he says, but his lips are pressed into a thin white line. Believe the face. The face is the map of the territory. The words are just the brochure. The danger of a little knowledge. A warning before we move on. Do not become the person who shouts, "Liar," every time someone touches their nose or twitches their lip. Context still matters. Botox affects facial expressions. Culture affects eye contact. Fatigue affects blink rates. You are looking for deviations from the baseline. If a person always has a crooked smile, that is not contempt. That is their face. If a person has a nervous tick in their eye, that is not a microexpression. You are looking for the change. You are looking for the moment the mask slips. When you see it, do not react. Do not point it out. Store it. You have just seen the card they are holding. Now you know how to play your hand. Chapter 5. The Frequency of Truth. Close your eyes. I want you to imagine you were in a pitch-black room. You cannot see the person standing in front of you. You cannot see their crossed arms. You cannot see the sweat on their brow or the twitch of their eye. All you have is the sound of their voice in the darkness. Could you still tell if they were lying? The answer is yes. In fact, you might be more accurate. Studies have shown that when people are stripped of visual cues and forced to rely solely on auditory information, their ability to detect deception actually increases. Why? Because we are too easily distracted by the visual performance. We look at the nice suit, the polished smile, and the firm handshake, and we let our guard down. But the voice is a musical instrument played by the brain. And like any instrument, if the player is nervous, the music will waver. If the player is unsure, the tempo will drag. If the player is angry, the volume will spike. We are leaving the world of the visual now. We are entering the world of paralinguistics. This is the study of how things are said rather than what is said. It is the physics of the vocal cords, the rhythm of the breath, and the thunder of silence. Words can be scripted. The voice cannot be silenced. The physics of stress, pitch, and tone. Let's start with the machinery. Your voice is produced by air passing through your vocal cords in the larynx. When you are relaxed, your vocal cords are loose and pliable. They vibrate at a lower frequency. This produces a deeper, more resonant sound. When you are stressed, fearful, or defensive, your entire body tenses up. This tension includes the muscles in your throat. Your vocal cords stretch tight, like the strings of a violin being tuned too high. This physical tightening causes the pitch of the voice to rise. If you are talking to a colleague and their voice suddenly jumps up an octave when you ask about the missing files, that is not a random occurrence. That is biology. That is the fight or flight response constricting the throat. You need to listen for the squeak. It might be subtle. It might just be a slight thinning of the voice. A rich baritone voice might suddenly sound tinny or shallow. This happens because the chest resonance is cut off as the throat closes. Conversely, listen for the drop. Authority sounds deep. We are hardwired to associate low-frequency sounds with power. Think of the growl of a lion or the rumble of thunder. When someone wants to assert dominance, they will subconsciously lower their pitch. If you are in a negotiation and the other person's voice suddenly drops and becomes monotone, they are done negotiating. They are issuing a command. They have shifted from collaborator to ruler. The question versus the statement. There is a vocal pattern that is sweeping through modern culture, and it is a deadly tell for insecurity. It is called upspeak or high-rising terminal. This is when a person ends a declarative sentence with a rising pitch, making it sound like a question. Statement: I can have the report done by Friday? Upspeak: I can have the report done by Friday? When you hear upspeak, the person is subconsciously asking for approval. They are saying, is this okay with you? Am I safe? If your surgeon says, the operation will be a success, run. If your lawyer says, we can win this case, fire them. You want to hear downspeak. When a person is confident, their sentence arcs up in the middle and lands with a heavy thud at the end. The pitch goes down. It signals finality. It signals certainty. The speed bump, tempo, and stumbling. The brain and the mouth are connected by a high-speed data cable. Usually, the data flows smoothly, but when a person lies, the data stream gets corrupted. Lying imposes a heavy cognitive load. The brain has to check the lie against reality, ensure it makes sense, and suppress the truth. This takes processing power. And just like a computer trying to run too many programs at once, the system lags. This lag manifests as a change in tempo. Establish the baseline speed. Does this person usually talk fast? If a fast talker suddenly slows down, measuring every word, they are walking through a minefield. They are being careful not to step on a trigger. Conversely, look for the speed up. This often happens after the lie. The person pauses, calculation, delivers the lie slowly, execution, and then suddenly speeds up to add unnecessary details, convincing. I didn't take the money. I wouldn't do that. I was at home. Ask my wife. She knows I was there. We were watching a movie. That acceleration at the end is the spill. They are trying to bury the lie under an avalanche of words. Also listen for the stumble. I was at the store. A stutter or a stammer in a person who does not usually stutter is a non-fluency. It means the brain lost the signal for a second. Why did it lose the signal? Because it was inventing, not recalling. Memory flows, invention halts. The thunder of silence. Latency. Silence is the loudest sound in the room. In the world of interrogation, we measure response latency. This is the time gap between the end of the question and the start of the answer. In a truthful conversation, response latency is almost zero. Did you eat lunch? Yes. The brain accesses the memory instantly. But when the answer is dangerous, the latency stretches. Did you leak the memo? 1 second. 2 seconds. No. That 2-second gap is the guilty pause. That is the time it took for them to decide whether to lie or confess. However, context is critical here. If you ask a complex question, what is your strategy for the next 5 years? A long pause is a sign of intelligence. It means they are thinking deeply. But if you ask a factual yes or no question, did you do it? A pause is a sign of deception. Truth does not need time to think. Truth just is. The throat clearing and the swallow. The limbic system controls the moisture in your throat. When you're anxious, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in and digestion stops. Saliva production shuts down. The mouth goes dry. This leads to the cotton mouth effect. Watch and listen for the hard swallow. You will see the Adam's apple bob up and down significantly. You might hear a clicking sound when they speak because their mouth is sticky. And listen for the throat clear. Did you maximize the budget? Yes, absolutely. That little is not a tickle in the throat. It is the vocal cords locking up due to stress and the person trying to physically shake them loose. It is a mechanical reset button for a lie. The vocabulary of distancing. It is not just the sound, it is the structure of the language itself. When people lie, they subconsciously try to distance themselves from the lie. They remove themselves from the sentence. They stop using pronouns like I, me, and my. Instead of saying, I didn't break the lamp, they say, the lamp broke. Passive voice is the refuge of the scoundrel. It removes the actor from the action. Listen for distancing language regarding people. In the famous Bill Clinton testimony, he did not say, I did not have sexual relations with Monica. He said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. That woman. He stripped her of her name. He pushed her away with language. By dehumanizing her, he made it easier to lie about her. If a husband refers to his wife as she or her constantly instead of her name during a conflict, emotional distancing has occurred. The bond is being severed in his mind. The oaths and qualifiers. Honest people do not need to tell you they are honest. If someone feels the need to preface their statement with a qualifier, be suspicious. To be honest, I thought it was really good. The verbal eraser. Listen for the word but. But is a verbal eraser. It deletes everything that came before it. You're a great guy, but you are not a great guy. I really want to help, but I am not going to help. I'm not a racist, but I'm about to say something racist. When you hear the word but, ignore the first half of the sentence. It was just the anesthetic. The second half of the sentence is the surgery, the voice of sarcasm and contempt. Finally, we must touch on the tone of sarcasm. Sarcasm is aggression with a smile. It is a way to say something mean without being held accountable for it. Oh, great idea, Einstein. The words say great idea. The tone says you are an idiot. Always trust the tone. Sarcasm is often a leak of hidden resentment. If your partner or employee uses sarcasm constantly, do not brush it off as just their sense of humor. It is anger. It is unresolved conflict bubbling up in a safe, deniable format. Training your ears. You need to retune your hearing. We are used to listening for information. I want you to start listening for vibration. Try the phone test. The next time you are on the phone with someone, close your eyes. Do not look at your phone screen, just listen. Listen to their breath. Are they breathing from the chest, shallow, fast, or the stomach, deep, slow? Listen to the pauses. Are they comfortable silences, or do they rush to fill them? Listen to the pitch. Does it spike when you change the subject? The voice is the exhaust pipe of the soul. Whatever is burning inside the engine, fear, anger, desire, deceit, eventually comes out the exhaust. You just have to be quiet enough to hear it. Chapter 6. The Architect of Personality. Imagine you are a captain at sea. In the previous chapters, we taught you how to read the waves. You learned to spot the whitecaps of a lie, micro-expressions, the sudden gusts of wind in a voice, paralinguistics, and the shifting currents of body language, clusters. This is vital skill. It keeps you from capsizing in the moment. But reading the waves is not enough. You need to know the climate. You need to know if you are sailing in the calm, predictable tropics or the volatile, icy North Atlantic. You need to know if the ocean beneath you is deep and steady or shallow and treacherous. This is the difference between reading behavior and reading personality. Behavior is what a person does in the moment. Personality is what they are likely to do in the future. Behavior is the weather. Personality is the climate. If you only look at the weather, you can survive the day. If you understand the climate, you can predict the year. This chapter is about the architect. It is about understanding the structural blueprint of a human being. We are moving beyond, is he lying right now, to, is he the kind of person who lies? We are moving from observation to prediction. To do this, we will use the only personality model that is scientifically validated and respected by serious psychologists, the Big Five. The Big Five, OCEAN. Forget horoscopes. Forget the Myers-Briggs. Those are fun, but they are scientifically soft. The Big Five is the gold standard. It breaks down human personality into 5 measurable dimensions. The acronym is OCEAN. Openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. Every person you meet, your boss, your spouse, your neighbor, sits somewhere on the spectrum of these 5 traits. Once you identify their coordinates, you possess the manual to their mind. You know what motivates them, what scares them, and exactly how they will react under pressure. Let's decode them one by one. 1. Openness, the explorer versus the preserver. Openness measures a person's hunger for novelty. It is the craving for new ideas, new experiences, and abstract concepts. High openness. These are the dreamers, the artists, and the entrepreneurs. They speak in metaphors. They love discussing what if rather than what is. They get bored easily. The tell. Look at their language. Do they use vivid imagery? Do they jump from topic to topic? Look at their office. Is it filled with eclectic art, strange books, or travel souvenirs? How to handle them? Never bore them with details. Sell them the vision. Sell them the revolution. If you give them a spreadsheet, you lose them. Low openness. These are the preservers, the traditionalists, and the operational managers. They value routine, tradition, and concrete facts. They do not want to know the vision. They want to know the steps. The tell. They speak literally. They focus on the past, like we've always done it this way. They dress conservatively. How to handle them? Do not surprise them. Give them data. Give them a proven track record. If you try to pitch a radical new idea to a low-openness boss, frame it as a logical continuation of the past, not a disruption. 2. Conscientiousness, the architect versus the improviser. This is the most important trait for predicting professional success. Conscientiousness measures a person's ability to delay gratification, follow rules, and organize their life. High conscientiousness.
These people are machines. They are on time, their clothes are pressed, their emails are bullet-pointed. They are driven by duty and achievement.
They feel physical pain when things are out of order. The tell. Punctuality is their religion. If they say they will call at 2 p.m., the phone rings at 2 p.m. Their workspace is minimalist and organized. How to handle them? Be reliable. If you are late, you are dead to them. Do not offer excuses, offer solutions. They respect competence above all else. Low conscientiousness. These are the improvisers. They are messy, spontaneous, and often late. They are prone to procrastination. However, they can be incredibly flexible and good in a chaotic crisis where rules don't apply. The tell. They're always just finishing up. Their desk is a disaster zone. They lose their keys. How to handle them? You have to micromanage them, but gently. Set artificial deadlines. Do not rely on them for long-term structure. Use them for short-term bursts of energy. 3. Extroversion. The broadcaster versus the absorber. This is often misunderstood. It is not about being friendly. It is about sensitivity to dopamine, high extroversion. They have a low sensitivity to dopamine, so they need more stimulation to feel good. They seek out crowds, loud music, and risk. They think while speaking. They need external feedback to process their thoughts. The tell. They dominate the conversation. They stand closer to you. They use broad hand gestures. They are often the first to introduce themselves. How to handle them? Let them talk. They process by talking. Give them social recognition. Public praise is their fuel. Low extroversion. Introverts. They have a high sensitivity to dopamine. A little bit goes a long way. Too much stimulation overwhelms them. They retreat to recharge. They think before they speak. The tell. They listen more than they talk.
They wait for a pause to speak and often get interrupted. Their office door is usually closed. How to handle them? Give them time. If you ask a low E a question in a meeting, don't pressure them for an instant answer. Send them an email beforehand. Respect their silence. It is not disinterest. It is processing. 4. Agreeableness. The peacemaker versus the challenger. This measures how much a person values getting along with others versus being right. High agreeableness. They are empathetic, trusting, and polite. They hate conflict. They will sacrifice their own needs to keep the peace. They are the glue of a social group. The tell. They nod constantly. They smile often. They use words like maybe, perhaps, and sorry. How to handle them? Be careful. They will agree to your face just to avoid an argument, but they won't follow through. You have to dig for their true opinion. Create a safe space for them to disagree. Low agreeableness. They are competitive, critical, and blunt. They value truth over feelings. They enjoy a debate. They are often seen as jerks, but they are often the ones who will tell you the hard truth when everyone else is lying to you. The tell. They interrupt. They challenge your premises. They do not mirror your smile. They look at you with a skeptical, assessing gaze. How to handle them? Do not take it personally. Stand your ground. They respect strength. If you back down, they will eat you alive. Argue with facts, not emotions. 5. Neuroticism, the alarm system. This is the sensitivity of the negative emotion system. It measures how easily a person feels fear, anxiety, shame, or anger. High neuroticism. They are the canaries in the coal mine.
They spot danger before anyone else, but they are also volatile. They experience mood swings. A minor problem, a traffic jam, feels like a major catastrophe. The tell. They are constantly checking their phone, the time, the lock. They complain about physical ailments, headaches, stomach aches, which are often stress-related. They ruminate on past failures. How to handle them? Be the rock. Do not tell them to calm down. That never works. Validate their concern. I see why you are worried. Then offer a concrete plan to fix it. Stability is their drug. If you provide it, they will be loyal to you forever. Low neuroticism. These are the Stoics. They are emotionally stable. Stress rolls off them. However, they can sometimes appear cold or unfeeling because they do not understand why everyone else is freaking out. The tell. Their voice is flat and consistent. Their heart rate doesn't seem to spike in a crisis. They are the ones walking calmly out of a burning building. How to handle them? Do not try to appeal to their emotions. Appeal to their logic. If you are hysterical, they will dismiss you. The art of speed profiling. Now, how do you use this? You cannot administer a questionnaire to your date or your client. You have to speed profile. You look for the extremes. Most people are average, but usually 1 or 2 traits will scream at you. Example 1. The nightmare boss. He screams at employees. High neuroticism. He demands perfection and notices every typo. High conscientiousness. He doesn't care if he hurts your feelings. Low agreeableness. Diagnosis. He is a precision weapon. He is useful for tasks requiring high standards and low empathy, like auditing or surgery, but as a leader, he is toxic. Strategy: be perfect to satisfy the conscientiousness, stay calm to counter the neuroticism, and do not expect praise to accept the low agreeableness. Example 2. The charismatic salesman. He lights up the room and remembers everyone's name. He promises the moon but forgets to send the contract. He agrees with everything you say. High agreeableness. Diagnosis: he is a starter, not a finisher. He is great at opening doors, terrible at closing deals. Strategy: enjoy the energy, but verify the paperwork. Do not trust his verbal promises. His high agreeableness makes him promise things he can't deliver just to make you happy in the moment. The combinations. The magic happens in the combinations. High openness plus low conscientiousness equals the dreamer. They have a million ideas and finish none of them. They are brilliant but unreliable. High conscientiousness plus low agreeableness equals the steamroller. They get things done, but they leave a trail of bodies behind them. They are effective but lonely. High agreeableness plus high neuroticism equals the victim. They want to please everyone, but they are terrified of doing it wrong. They live in a state of constant apologetic anxiety. Contextual masking. A warning: people can mask their traits for short periods. This is called free trait theory. An introvert can act like an extrovert for an hour at a party. A disagreeable person can act polite during a job interview. But they cannot keep it up. It drains their battery. Watch them when they are tired. Watch them when they think no one is looking. The mask will slip and the architecture will be revealed. The ultimate prediction. Why does this matter? Because personality is the code that runs the human machine.
If you know someone is high neuroticism, you know they will panic when the market crashes. You can prepare for it. You can short sell their panic. If you know someone is high agreeableness, you know they won't ask for a raise. You can either exploit that, if you are ruthless, or proactively reward them to keep their loyalty, if you are wise. When you understand the Big Five, you stop being surprised by people. You stop getting angry that the scorpion stung you. You realize it stung you because it is a scorpion. It couldn't do anything else. Stop trying to change people. The architecture is set in stone by adulthood. Read the blueprint, adjust your strategy, and play the hand you are dealt. Chapter 7. The Shadow Self. Everyone you meet is dragging a heavy bag behind them. In that bag, they have stuffed everything they're ashamed of. They have stuffed their jealousy, their cruelty, their weakness, and their forbidden desires. They have spent their entire lives trying to convince the world and themselves that the bag does not exist. They smile, they shake your hand, they show you their polished persona. But the bag is still there, and sometimes the zipper breaks. This chapter is about the shadow. It is a concept originally coined by the psychologist Carl Jung, but we're going to look at it through the lens of a tactical analyst. The shadow is not just evil. It is simply the repressed self. It is the collection of traits that a person has decided are unacceptable to show in public. Why does this matter to you? Because the shadow drives behavior more powerfully than the conscious mind ever could. A person's logical mind decides what they want to do.
I want to be a good father. But their shadow decides what they actually do when they are tired, drunk, or stressed. Scream at their children because they secretly resent the loss of their freedom. If you believe the persona, you will be blindsided. If you learn to read the shadow, you will know people better than they know themselves. The law of overcompensation. The first rule of shadow reading is the law of overcompensation. It states, the louder the broadcast, the deeper the void. Human beings are desperate to hide their shadows. To do this, they often construct a persona that is the exact opposite of their hidden insecurity. They build a fortress to protect a ruin. The aggressive alpha. You have met him, the man who is constantly talking about how tough he is. He is loud, he is physically imposing, and he interprets every glance as a challenge. The shadow. He is terrified of weakness. Somewhere in his past, he felt powerless, perhaps as a child, perhaps in a failure. His entire personality is a frantic attempt to never feel that small again. The aggression is not strength, it is a panic response. The virtue signaler. The person who is constantly preaching about their morality. They are the first to condemn others, the first to call out sin or social injustice with vitriolic rage. The shadow. They are hiding their own capacity for malice. They are terrified that they are not good people. By attacking bad people, they are trying to prove to themselves that they belong to the good tribe. The harshest judges are often the ones with the most evidence buried in their own backyards. The perpetual victim. The person who claims that the world is always against them. Bad luck follows them. Ex-partners were all crazy. Bosses are always tyrants. The shadow, they are hiding a desire for power. Being a victim is a form of power. It grants you attention, sympathy, and freedom from responsibility. They do not want to be saved. They want to be pitied. If you try to solve their problem, they will get angry because you are threatening their identity. When you see a behavior that is too much, too nice, too angry, too moral, too confident, invert it. Look at the opposite. That is where the shadow lives. Projection. The movie theater of the mind. How do you see what is inside a black box? You watch what the box projects onto the wall. Projection is a defense mechanism where a person attributes their own unacceptable feelings to someone else. I don't hate him, he hates me. I'm not cheating, you are the one who's acting suspicious. This gives you a powerful tool, the accusation audit. Listen carefully to what a person accuses others of. Does your boss constantly accuse employees of being lazy? He is likely fighting his own internal battle with sloth or feeling like an imposter who doesn't work hard enough. Does your partner constantly accuse you of flirting? They are likely struggling with their own wandering eye. We do not spot traits in others that we do not recognize in ourselves. If you are a thief, you check your wallet constantly because you assume everyone else is a thief. If you are a liar, you assume everyone else is lying. When someone has an intense, irrational emotional reaction to a specific trait in another person, it is because that trait is vibrating in their own shadow. The golden shadow. Not all shadows are dark. Some are gold.
The golden shadow contains the positive traits that a person has repressed because they were told they were arrogance or too much. Ambition, creativity, power, sexuality. You will see this in the hater. Why does the mediocre artist hate the successful artist with such venom? It is not just jealousy, it is recognition. The successful artist represents the potential that the mediocre artist buried out of fear. Seeing someone else live out their golden shadow is painful. It reminds them of the cowardice of their own choices. If someone mocks you for trying too hard, they are revealing their own repressed ambition. If someone mocks you for being too intellectual, they are revealing their own insecurity about their intelligence. The insult tells you nothing about you. It tells you everything about what they threw into their bag. The trigger test. To confirm the shadow, you need to look for the disproportionate reaction. In physics, action equals reaction. If I tap you on the shoulder, you turn around. That is proportionate. But in psychology, if I tap you on the shoulder and you scream, "Don't touch me!" that is disproportionate. That is a trigger. A trigger is a landmine buried in the psyche. When you step on it, the explosion is not about the step. It is about the explosive stored underneath. Watch for these explosions in conversation. You mention a harmless topic, say money, and suddenly the person becomes defensive, agitated, or shuts down. You have found a shadow element. Money shadow. Rich people are evil. Shadow. I feel inadequate because I am poor, so I must morally condemn wealth to feel superior. Authority shadow. My boss is an idiot. Shadow. I have a problem with father figures or authority that dates back to childhood.
When you find a trigger, mark the location. Do not keep stepping on it. You now know where their wound is. You can choose to heal it by offering reassurance or avoid it. But never ever step on it by accident. The leakage, humor, and slips. The shadow loves to hide in jokes. Just kidding is the universal catchphrase of the shadow. Freud said there is no such thing as a joke. Every joke is a truth wrapped in a socially acceptable package. If a colleague says, "Wow, you're actually wearing a suit today, trying to get promoted?" and then laughs, just kidding. They're not kidding. They are envious. They are worried you will get promoted. The laughter is the lubricant that allows the knife to slide in without you complaining. Listen to the Freudian slip. We treat slips of the tongue as accidents. They are not. They are the shadow grabbing the microphone. If a politician says, "We need to focus on the the needs of the people," believe the slip. The brain selected the word greed because it was the active concept in the neural network. The neocortex tried to correct it, but it was too late. Handling the shadow. So you have identified the shadow. You know your boss is insecure about his intelligence. You know your partner is projecting their fear of abandonment. What do? 1. Do not attack the shadow. If you point it out, you are only shouting because you feel weak. You will declare war. The ego exists to protect the shadow. If you attack the shadow, the ego will fight you to the death. It will deny, deflect, and counterattack.
If you know they are insecure about their intelligence, the shadow, feed the persona, treating them like a genius. Ask for their advice. Why? Because when the void is filled, the shadow goes to sleep. The person relaxes. Their defense mechanisms lower. They become manageable. This is not manipulation. It is mercy. You are giving a starving dog a bone so it stops barking at you. 3. Set boundaries for the behavior, not the emotion. You cannot stop someone from feeling their shadow, but you can stop them from acting on it. I understand you are frustrated, but you cannot speak to me that way. Validating the emotion, boundary on behavior. The ultimate mirror. Finally, a warning.
This chapter is the most dangerous one for you, because if you are reading this and thinking, I know exactly who this applies to, my ex is totally projecting, my boss is totally overcompensating, then you are falling into the trap. Remember the rule: you spot it, you got it. If you are obsessed with analyzing the shadows of others, it is likely a defense mechanism to avoid looking at your own. The best readers of people are those who have made peace with their own darkness. They are not shocked by the greed, lust, or envy of others because they have seen it in the mirror. They don't judge it, they just acknowledge it. Ah, I see you are acting out of pride. I know that feeling. I have felt it too. This detachment makes you powerful. The person who judges is easily manipulated. The person who observes is untouchable. The dark triad. We must briefly touch on the people who have no shadow, or rather, people whose shadow has consumed them. Narcissists, Machiavellians, and psychopaths.
For them, the darkness is not repressed, it is integrated. They do not feel shame. They do not have a bag they are dragging behind them. They wear their darkness like a coat. We will cover them in the next chapter on deception. But for now, know this. The normal person hides their bad traits because they have a conscience. The fact that they have a shadow is proof that they are trying to be good. The existence of the shadow is actually a sign of humanity. It means there is a conflict between who they are and who they want to be. Respect the conflict. Chapter 8. The Art of Deception. There is a machine called the polygraph. You know it as the lie detector. It is a terrifying instrument. It measures heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity. The theory is simple. When a person lies, their body panics, and the needle on the paper goes wild. But here is the secret that intelligence agencies and courts have known for decades. The polygraph does not detect lies. It detects stress. If you are innocent but terrified of being accused, the machine will say you are lying. If you are a psychopath who feels no guilt about lying, the machine will say you are telling the truth. This is the fundamental problem with detecting deception. There is no such thing as a lie response. There is no single gesture, facial expression, or vocal tic that means deception 100% of the time. There is no Pinocchio's nose. If you are looking for a magic sign, you will be deceived every time. Instead, you must look for the struggle. Lying is an unnatural act. It is a cognitive war between two parts of the brain.
The neocortex is trying to construct a false reality, while the limbic system is trying to scream the truth. This war requires massive amounts of energy. It creates heat, it creates friction, and if you know where to look, it creates leakage. This chapter is the advanced class. We are taking everything you have learned, baselines, microexpressions, paralinguistics, and applying it to the specific act of spotting a liar. The truth bias. First, you must understand why you are bad at this. Human beings are hardwired to believe each other. This is called the truth bias. Society could not function without it. If you walked into a coffee shop and assumed the barista was poisoning your drink, or that the cashier was shortchanging you, or that the other customers were assassins, you would go insane. To survive, we default to true. Liars weaponize this against you. They know you want to believe them. They know you want to believe your spouse is faithful. They know you want to believe the project is on schedule. They exploit your hope. To become a human lie detector, you must temporarily suspend your humanity. You must turn off the truth bias. You must adopt a mindset of trust but verify, or even better, verify then trust. The Othello error. The biggest mistake amateurs make is the Othello error. In Shakespeare's play, Othello accuses his wife, Desdemona, of infidelity. She is innocent, but because Othello is so aggressive and terrifying, she weeps and trembles with fear. Othello sees her fear and interprets it as the guilt of a cheater. He kills her. He was wrong. She wasn't afraid of being caught. She was afraid of not being believed. You will see this constantly. You confront an employee about theft. They start sweating. They stammer.
They look away. Are they lying, or are they just terrified of losing their job? If you misread stress as deception, you will destroy relationships with innocent people. This is why the baseline, chapter 1, is your Bible. If a person is naturally nervous, nervousness means nothing. But if a person is naturally calm, arrogant, and steady, and then they start stammering, that is significant. Cognitive load, the Achilles heel of the liar. The most reliable way to catch a liar is not to look for nervousness, but to look for cognitive load. Telling the truth is effortless. You just replay the memory. Lying is exhausting. You have to invent a story that fits the known facts. Remember what you said previously so you don't contradict yourself. Monitor your own face and voice to look honest. Monitor the listener to see if they are buying it. This is too much for the brain to handle. Something has to give. Usually what gives is the extra movement, the freeze. Liars often stop moving. Their hands stop gesturing. Their feet lock. They become statue-like. Why? Because the brain is diverting all energy to the lie. It shuts down the motor cortex to focus on the vocal center, the stare. As discussed, they stop blinking or blink very slowly because they are processing data. Simplicity. Their stories lack detail. Truth is messy. Truth has smells, sounds, and irrelevant details, like, I went to the store and the guy in front of me had this weird hat. Lies are clean. Lies are scripts. I went to the store. I bought milk. I came home. Technique. The reverse order. If you suspect someone is reciting a scripted lie, use the reverse order technique. Police interrogators use this to shatter a rehearsed alibi. Let them tell their story. I left the house at 6. I went to the bar. I met John. We left at 9. Then, calmly say, okay, I want to make sure I have the details right. Can you tell me that story again, but backwards? Start from when you left the bar at 9 and work your way back to the house. A truthful person can do this easily. The memory exists as a 3D movie in their head. They can rewind the tape. A liar cannot. They have memorized a script, A to B to C to D. If you ask them to go D to C to B to A, their brain crashes. They will stumble. They will contradict themselves. They will get frustrated. Why does it matter? They will snap. It matters because the script is broken, the architecture of denial. Listen to how they deny the accusation. 1. The specific denial versus the categorical denial. If you ask, did you steal the money? Truthful. No. Sharp. Deceptive. I did not steal that money. Overly specific. Emphasized. Or, why would I do that? Evasive. Liars love to answer a question with a question. Did you cheat on me? Do you really think I would do that to you? Are you crazy? Who told you that? They are not answering. They are attacking the premise of the question. They are buying time. 2. The monster denial. Beware of the person who gets angry too fast. Innocent people are usually confused first, then angry. Wait, what? You think I stole it? That's ridiculous. Liars often skip the confusion and go straight to rage. They feign moral outrage to bully you into backing down. How dare you ask me that? I have worked here for 10 years. This is a smoke bomb. They are creating an emotional explosion to hide the fact that they didn't answer the question. 3. The exclusionary qualifiers. Liars rarely lie directly. They prefer to omit the truth.
Listen for words that create loopholes. Basically, fundamentally, for the most part, to the best of my knowledge. Did you accept a bribe? Basically, no. What does basically mean? It means yes, but I don't want to call it a bribe. The time gap. Temporal lacunae. When people tell a story, they move through time evenly. I got up, I showered, I ate breakfast, I drove to work. Liars skip the dangerous parts. We call this text bridging. Look for phrases that jump over time. The next thing I knew, later on. After that, I went to her house, we had a few drinks, later on I went home. Stop. Rewind. The truth is hiding in the later on. That is the bridge over the canyon. Your job as an analyst is to burn the bridge. Go back. You said you had drinks. Then you said later on. Walk me through that specific time period, step by step. Watch them panic when you force them to live in the gap they tried to skip. The tell me more trap. One of the most powerful phrases in lie detection is, tell me more. Liars want the conversation to end. They want to give you the headline and leave. Truthful people love to vindicate themselves. If you ask an innocent person to explain their alibi in more detail, they will talk your ear off. They will give you contacts, receipts, surveillance camera locations. They want to be cleared. Liars will shrink. I already told you. It's not important. I don't remember. If you press for details and they get amnesia, be suspicious. I don't recall is the favorite phrase of the guilty. It is the perfect legal shield. But in a personal relationship or business setting, I don't recall usually means I don't want to say. Sensory disconnect. Ask sensory questions. If someone claims they were at a restaurant, ask, what did it smell like? Was it loud? Where were you sitting relative to the door? Sensory memory is stored in a different part of the brain than narrative memory. A liar has a script of events. They rarely have a script of sensations. If they pause for a long time to answer, what did it smell like? They are inventing, not remembering. The duping delight. This is the most chilling sign of all. Sometimes, when a liar thinks they have successfully fooled you, they cannot help themselves. Their ego takes over. They will give a very quick, very subtle smirk. It is a flash of pride. I am smarter than you. You bought it. You see this in criminal interrogations often. The suspect tells a lie, the detective nods and writes it down, and the suspect suppresses a smile. If you see this smile while discussing something tragic or serious, like a missing person or a lost account, you are looking at a sociopathic level of deceit. The cluster is king. Again. I must repeat this because it is the fail-safe. Do not call someone a liar because they used text bridging. Do not call someone a liar because they looked away. You need the cluster. You ask, did you take the file? The voice pitch goes up. Stress. They cross their ankles and rub their neck. Freeze. Pacify. I would never do that. Basically, qualifier, moral outrage. That is a cluster. That is a lie. How to confront. If you have identified the lie, what do? Do not say, you are lying. That puts up a wall. They will deny it until the end of time. Instead, use the presumptive approach. Speak as if you already know the truth and you were just trying to understand why it happened. Listen, I know you took the file. I'm not interested in arguing about that. I just want to know, was it because you were under pressure to finish the project or because you thought it was the right thing to do? Give them a face-saving exit. Give them a reason to confess that doesn't make them look like a monster. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I think you were just scared. Is that right? People will confess to being scared or making a mistake. They will rarely confess to being a liar. Make it easy for them to tell you the truth. The golden rule of deception. Ultimately, the best lie detector is time. Lies degrade over time. The truth remains solid. If you suspect someone is lying, wait. Ask them the same questions 3 days later. Hey, remind me again, who was at that bar? The liar has forgotten their script. They will give you a different name, or they will get angry that you are asking again.
The truth teller will just tell you the truth again. Deception is a high-maintenance construct. It requires constant energy to keep it standing. Stop propping it up for them. Stop filling in the silences. Stop nodding when it doesn't make sense. Let the silence stretch. Let the awkwardness build. Watch them crumble under the weight of their own invention. Chapter 9. The Power Dynamics. Power is physics. It is not a title on a business card. It is not a corner office. It is a palpable, invisible force that fills every room you walk into. You have felt it before. You walk into a meeting and the air feels heavy. You can tell instantly who is afraid, who is desperate for approval, and who is holding the leash. Often, the person holding the leash is not the person sitting at the head of the table. Most people navigate social hierarchies blind. They suck up to the manager because of his title, ignoring the quiet woman in the corner who actually makes the decisions. They sit in the wrong chair, accidentally challenging the leader. They speak when they should be silent, and they stay silent when they should be seizing territory. This chapter is about reading the room. It is about identifying the true hierarchy, not the organizational chart, but the primal tribal structure that governs human interaction. If you can read the power dynamics, you can manipulate them. If you cannot read them, you are already a subordinate. The attention vector, the ultimate tell. How do you spot the alpha in a group of strangers? You do not listen to who is talking. You watch where the eyes go. Human beings are social primates. We are wired to check in with the tribe leader for approval and safety.
Watch what happens when someone tells a joke. Do not watch the person telling the joke. Watch the audience. As soon as the punchline hits, everyone will instinctively glance at one person to see if they are laughing. If the alpha laughs, everyone laughs. If the alpha stays stone-faced, the laughter dies instantly. That person is the true leader. It doesn't matter if they are the intern or the CEO, they hold the social gravity of the room. This is called the attention vector. In any conversation, attention flows like water toward the person with the most status. If you are speaking and the person you are talking to keeps glancing at someone else, stop talking. You do not have the floor. You are petitioning a subordinate, and they are checking with their boss for permission to listen to you. Territorial displays, the sprawl. Power claims space, weakness yields space. This is a biological imperative. In the animal kingdom, the alpha expands to look larger. In the boardroom, the principle is identical. Look at the table. Who has their notebook, phone, and coffee cup spread out in a wide perimeter? Who has their elbows on the table pushing outward? That is territorial claiming. They are subconsciously marking their boundaries. Now look at the person next to them. Are their elbows tucked in? Is their notebook resting on their lap? Have they condensed themselves into a small, non-threatening package? They have ceded territory. They have accepted submission. If you want to project power, do not shrink. Put your arm on the back of the empty chair next to you. Spread your documents. When you stand, stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Taking up space signals to the primal brain of everyone in the room, I belong here. I am not afraid of being seen. The doorway drill. You can learn everything you need to know about a hierarchy in the 5 seconds it takes a group to walk through a door. Who walks in first? Convention says the leader walks in first. But in modern power dynamics, it is often the gatekeeper who walks in first to hold the door or to announce the arrival. The true alpha often walks in last. Why? Because the shepherd walks behind the sheep. The one who walks in last can see everyone. They are protected. They are ushering the tribe. Watch the hesitation dance. Two people reach the door at the same time. After you. No, after you. The person who goes through the door first is often complying with a command. The person who insists after you and waits is controlling the flow. They are benevolent, but they are in control. Granting permission is a high-status act. Taking permission is a low-status act. Seating dynamics, the geometry of war. Where you sit determines how you are perceived. Do not just flop into the first available chair. Choose your weapon. 1. The head of the table. Yes, this is the traditional power seat. It allows you to see everyone and forces everyone to look at you. But it also isolates you. You are the target. If you sit here, you must be ready to lead. If you sit here and stay silent, you look weak. 2. The flank, the right hand. Sitting immediately to the left or right of the alpha is a position of alliance. It is hard to argue with someone sitting right next to you. You have to turn your body awkwardly. It is an intimacy position.
If you want to influence the leader, sit here. You can whisper, you can slide a paper over. You are part of the inner circle. 3. The opposition. The seat directly opposite the alpha is the seat of the challenger. If you sit here, you are creating a direct line of sight. This is the best place for negotiation or conflict. But be warned, if you sit here and do not have something valuable to say, it feels confrontational for no reason. 4. The middleman. Avoid the middle seats on the long side of the table. You are lost in the shuffle. You have to turn your head constantly like you are watching a tennis match. You have no authority. The voice of authority. Interruptions and silence. In a power dynamic, there is a currency called airtime. High-status people consume airtime. Low-status people yield it. But there is a nuance. The highest-status people often speak the least, but when they speak, everyone stops. Watch the interruption game. Who is allowed to interrupt whom? If person A interrupts person B, and person B immediately stops talking and apologizes, "Oh, sorry, go ahead." Person A has the power. If person A interrupts person B, and person B keeps talking, raising their volume slightly, ignoring the interruption, person B has successfully defended their status. This is a vital skill. If someone interrupts you, do not stop. Do not get angry. Just continue your sentence at the exact same pace and volume. Pretend they are not there. It is an incredibly dominant move. It signals, your noise is not significant enough to derail my thought. The touch. The politician's handshake. Touch is a privilege of power. Generally, superiors touch subordinates. Subordinates rarely touch superiors. The boss pats the employee on the back.
The employee does not pat the boss on the back. Watch the handshake. The palm down. The person whose hand is on top is trying to dominate. They are literally getting the upper hand. The palm up. The person offering their palm up is signaling openness or submission. The double clasp. This is when they shake your hand and cover it with their other hand. This is a politician's handshake. It screams, "I am trustworthy, I am warm." But in reality, it is a form of trapping. They have immobilized your hand. They are controlling the interaction. If someone tries to dominate you with a palm-down handshake, do not fight it. Instead, step in with your left foot. This forces you into their personal space, and you can easily rotate your hand back to vertical. You assert dominance by invading their territory, neutralizing their hand trick. Status transactions, high versus low. Every interaction is a negotiation of status. You are either raising your status or lowering it. Low status behaviors, the pleaser, touching your face or neck while speaking, apologizing for things that aren't your fault. "Sorry, can I just say?" Fidgeting, smiling excessively when the subject is serious, checking the other person's reaction constantly. High status behaviors, the rock. Stillness, no fidgeting, unbreaking eye contact when listening, slow movements. Rushing signals anxiety. Slowness signals I have time. Taking up space. Silence. Being comfortable with the pause. You can hack this. If you are entering a room where you feel intimidated, consciously adopt the rock behaviors. Force your body to move 20% slower than you want to. Force your voice to be 10% deeper. Stop smiling unless something is actually funny. You will feel the dynamic shift.
People will stop interrupting you. They will lean in. The outlier. The dangerous quiet. Beware the person who is not playing the game. In every group, there are people fighting for alpha status, talking loud, posturing, interrupting. Then there is the person sitting back, watching, saying nothing. This is the outlier. They are often the most dangerous person in the room. They are gathering data. They are not seeking validation. If the alpha is the king, the outlier is the assassin. Do not ignore them. Engage them. What do you think, Sarah? By bringing the outlier into the conversation, you validate them. If you win the outlier to your side, you often win the room, because their opinion carries the weight of objectivity. The beta trap. A warning. Do not confuse being an alpha with being a jerk. The loud, aggressive bully is often a beta in alpha's clothing. They are insecure. True power is calm. True power does not need to shout. Think of a silverback gorilla. He does not run around screaming. He sits, he eats, he watches, he only fights when absolutely necessary. If you try to dominate a room by being loud and rude, you will trigger the group's immune system. They will isolate you. They will reject you. The goal is not dominance, it is influence. Influence is voluntary. People want to follow the influencer. They have to follow the dominator. Always aim for influence. Hijacking the dynamic. So you walk into a meeting where you are the lowest status person. How do you flip the script? Break the pattern. Everyone expects you to sit in the back and take notes. Do not. Sit at the table. The early speak. Speak within the first 2 minutes. It doesn't matter what you say.
The coffee's great today. Did everyone see the news about X? Once you have broken the silence, your voice is registered in the room's acoustic mix. It is much harder to speak for the first time 20 minutes in. Physical mirroring. Subtly mirror the alpha. If they lean back, you lean back. If they cross their legs, you cross your legs. This creates a subconscious bond. They will feel that you are like them. The deep question. Ask a question that stops the flow. That's a great point, but how does this affect our long-term strategy? A good question is worth 10 good answers. It puts you in the position of the judge, the ultimate power move, detachment. The person who cares the least holds the most power. This is the law of least interest. If you are desperate for the deal, you have no power. If you are willing to walk away, you have all the power. In any interaction, you must keep a part of yourself detached. You must be willing to lose. When people sense that you do not need them, that you are happy with them or without them, they become magnetized to you. They want to know where you get your stability. They chase what retreats. Chapter 10. The Master Key. You have reached the end of the curriculum. You now possess a set of tools that 99% of the population does not have. You know how to strip away the mask. You know how to hear the tremor of a lie in a confident voice. You know how to spot the hidden alpha in a room, and you know how to read the shadows that people drag behind them. You have acquired X-ray vision. But this power comes with a danger.
There is a trap waiting for you. It is called the analyst's curse. When you first learn to read people, you become cynical. You start seeing deception everywhere. You see the fake smiles at the dinner party. You see the insecurity in your boss's arrogance. You see the transactional nature of your friend's kindness. The world starts to look like a cold, mechanical place full of liars and actors. If you stop here, you have failed.
If you use these skills only to spot lies, you will end up lonely. You will be the smartest person in the room, but you will be the most isolated. You will treat people like puzzles to be solved rather than human beings to be connected with. This final chapter is about the master key. It is the missing element that turns cold analysis into genuine power. It is the difference between a manipulator and a leader. The master key is empathic accuracy. The 3 levels of empathy. Empathy is a word that has been ruined. We think of it as being nice or feeling sorry for someone. That is soft. That is weak. True tactical empathy is hard. It is data. It is the ability to slide your consciousness into someone else's mind and see the world through their eyes. Not to agree with them, but to understand them so deeply that you can predict their next move before they make it. There are 3 levels of empathy. You must master all 3. Level 1, cognitive empathy, the spy. This is what we've been doing for the last 9 chapters. It is intellectual. It is, I know what you are feeling. I see your jaw clench, so I know you are angry. This is useful, but it is cold.
Psychopaths are actually very good at cognitive empathy. They know how to push your buttons because they study the schematic of your emotions. Level 2, emotional empathy, the friend. This is, I feel what you are feeling. Your mirror neurons fire. You feel their sadness. You feel their stress. This is dangerous for an analyst. If you get stuck here, you drown. You lose your objectivity. You cannot negotiate a hostage situation if you are crying with the hostage taker. Level 3, compassionate empathy, the leader. This is the master key. This is, I understand what you feel, cognitive. I resonate with it enough to care, emotional, but I remain detached enough to act, compassionate. It is the doctor who understands the patient's pain but stays calm enough to perform the surgery, the ultimate influence. Why is this the master key? Because human beings have a desperate, starving need to be understood. We live in a noisy world. Everyone is shouting. Everyone is trying to sell something. Everyone is projecting a persona. When you meet someone who actually sees you, who looks past the mask, acknowledges the shadow, and accepts the reality without judgment, it is addictive. It is hypnotic. If you can use your skills to make someone feel felt, they will follow you to the ends of the earth. This is how you use the skills for influence, not manipulation. Manipulation is about tricking someone into doing what you want for your benefit. It is short-term. Eventually, they realize they were tricked and they resent you. Influence is about aligning their internal drive with your goal. It is long-term. When you use the master key, you don't have to trick them. You say, I can see that you are hesitant about this deal, reading the baseline.
It looks like you are worried about the risk to your reputation. That makes total sense. I would feel the same way. So let's structure this so you are protected. You have just disarmed them. You took their hidden fear, put it on the table, and solved it. You didn't fight the resistance, you melted it. The Sherlock Holmes fallacy. Do not be Sherlock Holmes. In the stories, Holmes is brilliant. He looks at a client and says, I see you have been to China, and you have a dog, and you are angry at your father. The client is amazed, but the client also feels exposed. They feel naked. In real life, if you show off your skills, people will hate you. If you say, I know you're lying because you just touched your nose, you are not a master, you are a jerk. You have triggered their defense mechanisms. They will shut down. The true master hides the art. You see the nose touch, you know they are lying, but you don't say it. Instead, you say, You know, something feels a bit off about that timeline. Help me understand it better. You use the insight to guide the conversation, not to score points. The goal is not to prove you are smart. The goal is to get to the truth. Keep your cards close to your chest. Let them think they are telling you. Don't let them know you already stole the information. Navigating conflict, the tactical apology. One of the most powerful applications of empathic accuracy is in conflict resolution. Most arguments are not about facts, they are about emotions disguised as facts. Your partner is screaming about the dishes.
The amateur argues about the dishes. I did them yesterday. The master reads the subtext. You look at the paralinguistics. High pitch equals stress. You look at the face. Exhaustion. You look at the context. They had a bad day at work. You realize this is not about the dishes. This is about a lack of support. You bypass the argument. You sound exhausted. It seems like you feel like you're carrying everything alone right now. That is the label. You label the emotion. Watch what happens. The fight leaves their body. They deflate. Yes, exactly. I feel like I do everything. Now you are not fighting. Now you are connecting. You used your analysis to find the root cause and heal it. The professional edge. In business, the master key makes you invincible. Most people sell features. Buy this car. It has 400 horsepower. The master reads the buyer. You see the expensive watch, status signaling. You see the slight frown when you mention safety ratings, low neuroticism. You see the way they interrupt, high dominance. You realize this guy doesn't care about safety, he cares about being the alpha. So you change your pitch. This is the only car on the road that people get out of the way for. Sold, you gave him what he actually wanted, not what he said he wanted. This applies to job interviews, salary negotiations, and leadership. Stop answering the question they asked. Answer the question their body is asking. If the interviewer looks bored, stop giving long answers. Be punchy. Entertain them. If the investor looks nervous, stop talking about disruption. Talk about stability and risk mitigation. The ethics of power. We must address the elephant in the room.
You now have the ability to hurt people. You can spot insecurities and exploit them. You can fake empathy to seduce someone. You can mirror a boss to manipulate a promotion. This is the dark triad path. It is tempting. It is fast. But it is a trap. Deception leaves a residue. If you constantly fake your persona, you will eventually lose track of who you really are. You will become a hollow shell, reflecting everyone but containing no one. The highest use of these skills is protection. You are now a sheepdog. You can spot the wolves. You can see the predator before he strikes. You can see the manipulator trying to isolate your friend. You have a duty to use your vision to protect those who are still blind. And you have a duty to use it for truth. When you see someone suffering in silence, hiding their pain behind a smile, you have the power to break the isolation. You have the power to ask the one question that saves them. You say you're fine, but you don't look fine. Talk to me. The journey never ends. Mastery is not a destination. It is a discipline. You will never be 100% accurate. Humans are too complex. We are contradictory, messy, and chaotic. You will make mistakes. You will misread a crossed arm. You will mistake anxiety for deception. That is okay. Stay humble. The moment you think, I know everything about this person, you have stopped looking. And when you stop looking, you start projecting. Keep your beginner's mind. Stay curious. Every person you meet is a new universe with their own laws of physics. Explore them. Conclusion. We have traveled a long road together.
We started with self-awareness, realizing that your own biases are the dirt on the lens. We learned the baseline, the only standard that matters. We dissected the face and the voice, finding the leaks in the dam. We mapped the personality and the shadow, understanding the architecture of the soul.
We decoded the lie, and we navigated the geometry of power. Now, you stand at the door. When you turn off this audiobook, you are going to walk back into the real world, but it won't look like the same world. The static is gone, the signal is clear. You will walk into a coffee shop and you won't just see people. You'll see a couple in the corner. He is leaning in, interest, she is leaning back, discomfort. You know that date is failing. You will see a businessman on the phone, rubbing his neck, soothing, pacing tight circles, anxiety. You know the deal is falling apart. You will look in the mirror and you will see your own fear, your own shadow, and you will smile at it, because you are no longer controlled by it. You are awake. Do not go back to sleep. Do not close your eyes. The world is screaming the truth at you every second of every day. Listen, watch, read. This is the end of the lesson, but it is the beginning of your education. A final request. If this journey has opened your eyes, if you feel more equipped to navigate the human jungle than you did 10 chapters ago, I have one request. Knowledge like this should be shared, but only with those who are ready to handle it. Please like this video and subscribe to the premier audiobooks. It helps the algorithm find other seekers like you.
It helps us build a community of people who refuse to live in the dark. If you have listened all the way to the end, you are the 1%. Prove it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me one thing you learned that changed your perspective. Now go out there. The script is invisible, the body never lies, and you hold the key.